Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Jennifer Lacey, how
Good
are
morning.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm running a little bit behind because we had some like wardrobe things.
Wardrobe like you didn't have one. That was important. We had to like put some clothes on you.
So I'm sporting. Can you recognize
I
that?
do. Yes, bring back the trades.
Bring back the trades, baby. Got my hoodie. It's hoodie weather.
Yes.
I'm back home at the command center.
Nice, because that is where you have the least amount of internet issues. So good. Glad for that. You're so you have lots of practice with that.
I got to work on my Wi-Fi.
No, that was good. That was like really good.
Where you get a little nervous, like, oh, damn.
No, I didn't get nervous, but you're actually getting better at the frozen face.
A frozen face, baby. Uh-oh, look at that. We got Miss Amy
Good
Olmedo.
morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Yes.
What's happening, Amy? And we got Adam Hoots coming in. He's got, just so y'all know, if y'all like comment on his YouTube channel, they'll put like a search on you because he's got some funky things going on in the background on his YouTube. I'm joking. I'm just talking smack, y'all. So tell us where you're coming from.
I love it. Sorry.
No, you're good. First timers, drop us a blue heart in there so we can swarm you with love and no BS appreciation. And Will Sullivan, we're having a little bit of a flashback. You know what? You might as well tell the No BS tribe, give them the details about what happened. Please.
I'd be happy to. So on Wednesday, if you don't follow Will Sullivan, you need to go click on him and follow him because he's amazing and he talks kindness and he talks just people and the importance of just being able to connect with other people and just be human. And so one, there's that. But two, he does a Wednesdays with Will. That's a live event and he highlights kind of like Jesse's OG spotlight. He just highlights amazing people. And for whatever reason, about 3 or 4 months ago, he's like, hey, I want to get you and Jesse on the call. And so we scheduled it. It was amazing. He gave us all our stuff that we needed and gave us our links. And Jesse was traveling. And so the two of us kind of had stuff going on. We jump on. And then for the entire show, Will and I carried all the water because Jesse just decided he was going to pop in, pop out, internet issues, couldn't connect. And Will and I just kept on going, kept on flowing. And so through that, Steve Martin, who's in our tribe, was like, Jesse, are you stable? Because of the internet issues. And now Will has taken it and is like, we're going to make this a thing. And so that's where we are right now.
Yes. And like the official answer to that question is, no, I'm not stable. But I think the question was really about internet stable. And I'm not sure I don't think it was a Wi-Fi thing. My phone kept crashing. I don't think it's used. Like, I have no idea. I would get going, it would roll, and then it would crash. So whatever. Thank you, Will, for being super patient. Jen, you're a champ. Like, I had no doubt that you were ready to carry the load. And we got Miss Leslie.
Yeah. Jesse stops and just looks off and freezes. That's probably today, him just being funny. Like that.
Leslie, good morning, Leslie. How are you? Man, Leslie's been posting some cool stuff all week long.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I got to give her love. So again, if you don't follow Leslie, go find her and click on her and follow her. And she had an amazing post with her and her dad. And again, you know how that hits my heart because of all the things that I post about my dad and things we've talked about on the show. And so one, it was an amazing post and I loved it, Leslie. But also I told her, I was like, I got to get you connected because she was talking about some advice her dad gave her and things like that. And I was like, oh, I've got stuff I want to share with you. So super excited for that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
And we got Mr. Justin, been bringing it. Thanks for continuing to show up, my man. Hope that married life is still like super amazing. Recently wedded. Mr. Bruce coming in from New York City. From Queens, New York.
Got some New York City folks up there.
I know. New York's rolling deep, baby. Watch out. You know that guy?
I do. Good morning, Thomas.
Thomas LeMay. Thomas is here. Thomas, I finally got working on the fourth collabo session on the goal. So it's coming, baby. All good stuff. Look, Troublemaker. Jake
And he's up
Harrell.
early. I love it. We're getting him ready for the breakfast we're having later next week.
Oh, is he coming?
He already said he's in.
Nice.
Yes.
So that's breakfast next. Let's see, when is that?
Friday.
Oh yeah. What's going on there, Jennifer?
So you started. Well, no. Let's backtrack. So Steve Martin started this a while ago and says, "Hey, he's up in Boston area," and it said, "Hey, if there's other tribe members up here, let's connect." And so he just kind of threw it out, like on one of our live streams. And then you had someone that was in San Antonio that was like, why don't we connect? And so you threw it out and said, hey, NoBS tribe members, if you're in San Antonio, we're meeting here for breakfast. And so you did that, I think last month, captured it. And then Adam, I mean, you and I were talking about it. Adam wasn't part of the conversation. So I'm going to try to say Adam was the next one, scheduling stuff. So he is getting together with Davis and I think Thomas and some more people up in the Carolinas for a breakfast on Saturday morning, which you're going to show in a minute. Well, you can show it now on the 19th. And then I'm like, oh, well, that's great because we got one scheduled on the 18th. So we're going to try to get our NoBS DFW tribe members together and meet up next Friday morning, just to kind of get together, take some selfies, drink some coffee, and just see people in person. So super excited about that.
Yes, that's the point, right? We are here to build a community and support one another, and just watching this continue to grow. Have you ever heard of the term, like the phrase ripples of impact?
Yes. And so that's what we are creating.
Yes. So folks, when you plan yours out there, let us know so we can at least be super excited and supportive about it.
Yes.
And let's keep that bad boy going. So next Friday in DFW, I guess, right?
Yes.
The sad part is I can't be it.
Because you're not there. Well, because you're not here. You're in San Antonio, but that's okay because ours is going to be amazing, and maybe we'll chime you in via phone if you your internet's working or something.
We'll see. Awesome sauce. So Buddy Brumley says, good morning. Mr. Buddy, how you doing, my man? And then Steve Chief Marcus.
Connecticut. Why did I say Boston? Sorry. Sorry, Steve. I said Boston, but he's in Connecticut. My bad. Completely my bad. Up there.
Mr. Eric Talley coming in.
Yes. Good morning, Eric.
So we got all kinds of awesome tribe members out there coming in and supporting.
Yes.
Coolest stuff. So let's talk about, or let's give a preview of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, go for it.
No, I'm playing around over here in the back because it looks like we lost track.
I thought we had Adam to help us with that. I think he's here today.
Yeah, but he took a break. I don't see him.
Okay, go for it. Why are we here today? Just see, what are we talking about?
Well, it's a follow-up conversation on the last live stream we had. We were talking about performance reviews and this sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And now
we had the after party.
We had the after party, which was awesome because it was the first after party that we've had on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And so please, folks, we had a ton of people on there. And so it's already set up. And as we go through the conversation, I'll figure out how to get it into the chat so that y'all can have access to it. Right now it's on my personal profile page on LinkedIn, but I'll make sure we get it in the chat as we go. So the conversation was like that, right? Performance reviews, and in the after party, we started talking about the connections that we've made here as a group with the NoBS, with Jen and Jess, the NoBS tribe, and people looking forward to coming in every other Saturday and having these types of conversations. And then so Jen and I were reflecting. It's like, well, if we just talked about performance evaluations, we're also at about a year of NoBS with Jen and Jess. How cool would it be to learn from the NoBS tribe why you keep coming back. What is it that makes you want to continue showing up? And so in terms, like, how's that related to performance reviews? Well, clearly, like, I know, and it's okay. Like, Jennifer has really thick skin. If, like, for all of y'all that are just coming back to see me, we understand, and it's okay. But so make sure you say something positive about Jennifer, because we don't want to leave her out. But no, like, what we really want to do is understand, like, how are we performing for you? How could we better serve you? What is it about these conversations, this community, that make it a meaningful experience, such that you continue to show? Because it's like Saturday morning, every other Saturday, and the tribe grows. Y'all continue to show up, and it's just an amazing, beautiful thing. And I want to know how not to screw it up. How about you, Jennifer?
Well, again, I love, because it's a carryover, because Will had me on Wednesday, and that was one of his questions, was like, what, how did it get started, and what, how has it grown, and why do people keep showing up and having these conversations with us? Because it is about some uncomfortable stuff and the things that we're talking about. And so I love that we touched on it on his show. And then again, the goal today is, again, feedback's always great, because we always know we can get better. And but I think a lot of it too is the way it's grown, and the conversations we're having, and the people that are jumping in the chat, showing up. We see people in person, and it's like we know them. And I'm saying that as much as I feel it when I see people. It's like I've known them and I've never met them in person, and it's because of this tribe and what we've created here. And that's me and what I feel. And then Jesse and I started talking, and we're like, what do other people feel, and why do they keep showing up, and what does that look like? And so that is why we're having this conversation today, is not so much for you to feed Jesse's ego, but just so that we can learn and understand what is magical about this space that gets you up on a Saturday morning and somehow navigate through these waters with us.
Yes. I love that you brought up water, because it just really makes me think about fishnets. And so, like, we should make a transition into an official uniform at some point. So I'm gonna say
Instagram. We don't do Instagram.
It's coming, girl. Watch out. The more I practice on the socials, the more braver. The more braver I'm getting, girl. Watch out. Holly Totten, good morning, Jess and Jen. Y'all aspiring writers out there, y'all need to connect with Holly, because she can help you. She can absolutely help you. She's super amazing. And not just follow her, because she's awesome.
Yes.
And so, Jen, let's start with you. I came at you with the crazy idea. Here we are a year later. Things have grown. Things have changed. Why do you continue to be here on Saturdays?
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and then I'll answer your question. So you and I started a little over a year ago with our 5S and relationships. So we started those live streams, and we were getting towards the end of it. And, we're like, okay, we got the 5S, we got the wrap up, we got, going into the holidays. So like, we're good. And I think the conversation with Buddy, where we were talking with Buddy, and Buddy's like, what's next? And I think that at that moment, I realized it wasn't just you and I showing up for you and I. It wasn't just you and I showing up and talking about our knowledge and the things that we know and the things that our experiences. I think that moment when he asked me, what's next? What are y'all going to do next? It made me realize the things that you and I were showing up for were impacting other people, and we're getting other people to get engaged with things, and not just people that you see out there on social media that are out there that you just, they're all up in your face. These are people that have been in the background. These are people that show up every day and do amazing things, and people don't even know them. And so I think that moment when Buddy asked that question, and then you and I obviously had some conversations to follow up with it, made me realize, like, number one, there's something going on here, and we almost have an obligation that we've got to continue to create a space for these conversations, because it didn't exist.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Adam, is like being straight up honest. Adam continues to show up because Jen makes him. And so y'all out there in the omniverse, you really don't know um, what we're going, Jen, what Adam and I
Oh
go through in
gosh.
preparation for these
I
events.
just make sure they have clothes on. Like in Adam, I don't have to worry about Adam. I just have to make sure Adam is there. Jesse, I just have to make sure he has clothes on.
I love it. I love it. Now, Jen, you know, you and I, it started, it was a crazy idea. And I think, like, to say it, to put it shortly so that we can jump into the comments because the tribe's bringing it today. Um,
Yes.
it absolutely became clear that this became a responsibility to continue having this conversation. It was when we started having the live streams around 5S and relationships. We started. It was like we peeled the scab on something
Yes.
that, like, I don't think any of us really understood what that was.
Nope.
But we wanted to keep picking away at it because the only, like, it needed to breathe. We needed to let it out. And it's like, man, we just can't stop.
Well,
And then
keep coming.
go ahead.
And the topics keep coming. And it's not us going, we've got a plan. We've got this agenda. So, I mean, it's like they just keep coming because that's what the people keep talking about.
Yeah. So for me, though, it was how people, little by little, we've all, and I mean all, me, you, and the tribe members, started, like, we have, I would say right now, if we could go back and gauge it, I think everybody that's been here with some consistency has expanded or built their vulnerability, authenticity muscles. Like, little by little, with all the reps after rep after rep, people have become more comfortable in being authentic and being vulnerable. So because of that, I'm like, okay, we got to keep doing this thing. So we're gonna go to the comments.
Yes.
And we got Mr. Felipe, engineer, host of the EBFC show. I said it one time and I got it right the first shot. He says, this is our growing drive. I have to show up to be a part of it. And to be a part of it, you have to show up. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, I love it because you and I talk about all the time. The first step of anything is to show up. Like you know, you have to show up and be there. And again, there's some levels or layers, spectrum of this, of people showing up. And in the background, I had one of these experiences a couple of weeks ago where people show up and get to watch us and see us, and we don't even know who they are. So there's that level of people that are a part of this tribe. We just don't know you yet, and that's okay. And I was at an event and I had someone come up and just talk about the amazing stuff Jesse and I are doing. And I'd never seen his face or his name and didn't know him. And it just, like, something inside me just exploded because I was like, I mean, this is one of those people that are out there seeing the things we're doing and we don't even know who they are. So it's that spectrum of people that show up and then they get engaged and then they start sharing and then they're out there on their own sharing their own stuff. So it's just like being able to watch that is amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but y'all, if y'all see me blink, when y'all see me blink 5 times in a row, I need help. I like, please send help. Don't let Jen know though, because she'll get me. Oh man, keep them coming, y'all, because we got some good stuff coming in. So Miss Holly Totten, she says she started coming to support me. Ding! But she keeps coming back because of the great content that we provide. Thank you, Miss Holly.
Yes, thank you very much.
And so, Jen, you touched on that a little bit about the content. I mean, Adam and I sat down. We spent about 4 days. We went off site, no electronics, no Wi-Fi, no nothing, and just hammered out every conversation we're going to have for the next 5 years and every bullet point we were going to touch on. How has that worked out for you, Jen?
First of all, you're full of crap. And secondly, I think that's the magic of our conversations. And Jesse, at first, like, it was, what's the plan? And again, I'll own all of that. It was, what's the plan? What are we going to do? Because a year ago in December, you came up and we started kind of talking about this, and we created NoBS with Jen and Jess. We kind of just went through and in a day kind of just put all this stuff together. And then, like, okay, well, what does that look like? And we had a couple of ideas, maybe a couple of weeks, worth of stuff. And we realized really early on that the people that show up and the conversations that we're having today, and I'm going to say this, the conversations we're having today will dictate and drive our conversation in 2 weeks. And once we realized that and like accepted that, hey, there's no plan, but there's a plan, it has been amazing, because it's not you and I, oh, we know what we need to talk about. I mean, we have ideas, but the people that show up are the reason why we're here every day.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's the point. Like, Holly, appreciate the love, but the content is a product of the community.
Yes.
Every conversation, except for the first 5, like those we kind of scripted out. But every conversation since then has been informed by the tribe. Like, what's interesting to us? What do we want to talk about? What new kind of stinky? I got a list of different things that have kind of surfaced, or like people straight out said, hey, y'all should talk about this. So that we can do that, because I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I don't know where we would be. Rather, I know exactly where we would be if the tribe would not have if we had not connected the way we have. We would be with the calendar and the topics and the articles, instead of just having like real authentic conversation. So Holly,
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, sister. Go ahead, Jen.
No, you're good.
Okay. And then, we also have to make sure that we incorporate the belly laugh opportunities, because Will says he loves a good belly laugh.
Yes, because Steve Martin got a couple of them last week, is what I heard.
Yeah. From like this, like, Jesse, are you stable? That was the question Will asked, and I'm like, no, like, no, not at all. Miss Angel Lavecchio, curious idealist, she says she loves the quality of conversation on the live streams and how we both acknowledge those of us in the peanut gallery. So it always feels real interactive. Ooh. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, Lacey? I love that, because the peanut gallery is really like over here, but being able to incorporate who's here and show, like, that's really what's made this what it is. Like, that's the reason we're here. I show up because you continue to ask for things, and you continue to bring value to this conversation. And so that's the reason I get up every other Saturday morning to do this. So that's awesome.
I like it. All right. So we just got a report that LinkedIn is being glitchy.
Yeah.
With the G. I said glitchy. So folks, if y'all can head on over to the NoBS with Jen and Jess page on YouTube, I don't think there's any problems there. If not, hang in there. There's not a whole lot we can do about that end of things, but appreciate the heads up, y'all. Please drop some comments, direction, guide, wayfinding for people. We're also on the Facebook, on my page, Jesus, the sexiest guy in the world, Hernandez. Angel, thank you for that. Yeah, like, that's the whole thing about, I guess that's kind of what planted the seed for this decentralized virtual conference, Jen, that you made me put out there in the world.
There's some passive aggressive here. I'm already feeling it.
No, so but like, for real, for me, like, if we were just up here like doing webinars and me talking at people, there's no way I would show up every other Saturday. There's just no way. Like, that is not an enjoyable experience for me. But the fact that we can directly interact with the audience, like, incorporate the audience comments, like, as close to live real time as possible, that's a whole new element that makes things, like, keeps me engaged. And so we intend to incorporate that in the decentralized virtual conference.
Yes.
Keep an eye out, because that's coming February. So yeah, please do that. Adam, you are reading the tea leaves correctly. I am distracted because I know there's a LinkedIn issue. And so I want to make sure our people can
Thomas got the link. Yep, they've got people that are already handling it over there.
Okay, good. Thank you, Thomas. That's what I needed. All right, people are handling it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So
We have lots of comments.
yeah, we got lots and lots of comments. So look at that. All right, it's happening.
Thank you.
It's happening.
Yep.
So Mr. Bruce says he appreciates the honesty. Is that like a difficult thing for you, Jen?
Why do all these questions keep coming back to me?
Well, you keep letting me talk.
Honesty is not a problem with me. I think sometimes the vulnerability part of it is something that I've learned over the past year and a half, that there's not a lot of that out there, and people are guarded and people protect a lot of things, for good reason, because they don't want to get attacked and they don't want things to be used against them. And so I think what you and I found early on in just our conversations with each other, and then as we started doing the 5S and personal relationships conversation, that the honesty that you and I can share is because we trust each other. And I think we trust that we're going to not, push each other too far. We're going to make sure that we're protecting the things that are important, but also really pushing, beyond that comfort zone. And I think that we learned that early on, and what we have been able to show and exhibit here live has allowed other people to come in and be a part of that. I mean, to me, that's the magic of what's happening here. It's honesty, because it's no BS. Like we can show up anywhere and just listen to people say what other people want to hear. We can show up anywhere where people are just going to kind of skate through the surface just enough to where they answer the question, but they don't commit because they don't want it to be held against them. Like we live in a world like that. And so for us to show up like that, like they can get that when they show up to work. And I think what you and I decided is we're just not going to show up that way. We're going to show up real and transparent and have those tough conversations. And it's you and I, like I will kind of, pull back some layers. You're going to pull back some layers, but we're also going to do this with respect to each other.
Yes. And you made a point about that being or happening, going on at work. Has this helped you grow that authenticity and honesty outside of being the famous lady, like in real life, in your day job and at home?
Well, I mean, because you're a part of so much of it, but I don't know how and again, I would love to challenge the people that show up and that are out there. And I'll challenge you in a minute, Jesse, but how many of you have been on this ride with us, and you, because of the conversations that are happening here, maybe you've engaged, maybe you've just watched and observed, but I struggle that anyone couldn't listen and be a part of this and not leave changed, and not leave like having something else going on in your head, or in a room having a conversation, #Kirby, that now you're pushing yourself way outside of your comfort zone. You're pushing yourself and asking questions and getting engaged and realizing and observing people that are out there, and that maybe, they're not really saying, let me ask them one more question, or, hey, let me show up. And I've learned that. Let me show up and be vulnerable. Let me show up and be the person that kind of takes the sword a little bit. And then everyone else goes, oh, it's okay. It's safe. I'm not going to get attacked. I mean, I would struggle that anyone that shows up and is engaged in what we're doing hasn't been changed by it. What about you, Jesse?
Yes.
That's not yes. And what?
Yes. And yes.
How have you been changed? How have you been changed?
How have I been changed? Thank you for the question, Jennifer. I think the main thing, and we've talked about this, a really, really huge thing, that what I have a weird way of thinking about things and I have a weird way of communicating things. And I say weird just because I know when I do it, people are like, what, the people's response to me. And so the way I've interpreted that historically is that that was a problem. That was a negative. But coming here to this venue with the tribe, with you, with Adam, with everybody, what it's helped me understand is that I actually have credibility, and a lot of credibility. And my practice at being vulnerable and asking questions and listening, and like the perspective that I have because of the different spaces I've worked in the industry, like all of that is actually a whole bunch of superpowers that I didn't see it that way before having the live streams. And now, time and time again, what I'm getting is reinforcement about how awesome I am. No, like it really helped me come, like, wow, like, okay, I do have some credibility. Like, oh, like this weird part of me that was always hidden away is helpful to people. And then it's okay, well, let's do it more. And the more I do it, the more fulfilled I get. And then that just ripples throughout my life. Like it's been transformative is probably the easiest word to use. And maybe a little bit addictive because I kind of like being on the screen just a little bit. What do you think about that answer, Jennifer?
I like the answer, and I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
And so we've been doing this a little over a year, about a year and a half. Tell me right now, when you show up, what are some things, how do you show up different today than you did a year and a half ago? Now, you talked about it a little bit in your answer a while ago, but very specific. How do you show up different today?
Today, I'm not worried about what needs to be said, or rather, I'm not worried about what I don't want to miss, what I don't want to forget. Does that make sense?
Tell me more.
Okay. So like when we started the 5S in Relationships live stream, which I think there's a book based on those live streams.
There is.
But when we started those relationships, you and I had a call. Now the darn live streams, you and I had a call or several calls, and you're like, well, we got to talk about this, and we got to talk about construction. We got to make sure we type it. And like I was in the same space. I'm just not as we were in the same space to different degrees. That's fair. And so in my head, or I would make notes like, okay, I make sure I got to say this, make sure I got to say that. Like today, Buddy reminded me, Jesse, go ahead. You got to remember to announce the winner of that the Lean in Love competition, which is our buddy coming to the stage, Adam Hooch. Congratulations, Adam Hooch. Yeah.
You had too much power, Jess.
Sorry. Congratulations, big dog.
I knew it was coming. It's been a long time in the making. Thank you all.
Yes. So Adam did win. He had the most signatures of people that were in the book. He posted it on the LinkedIn, and so congratulations, Adam. We're going to get you the.
It actually has stuff on it.
That's what I was going to say, Miss Jen. Not a blank coffee cup again.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Love it. Yeah. No blank stuff. I'll make sure of that, Adam. I'll be QC on that shipment.
I appreciate it, Jess, but I still think I like where this whole show is heading. I think Jen's about to give it to you, man. I'm waiting.
Come on, baby. Let's go. So Jen, when we first started, it was that deal of like, make sure, which isn't a lot of fun. Right. And I was also worried, like there were certain boundaries that I was concerned about, like, because I still had a full-time job at the time. And so there was kind of, there were some parameters that I was very cognizant of that kind of maybe distracted me. So that was the beginning. Now it's like whatever. In terms of those parameters and boundaries, right? One thing I discovered along the way is like the value of this in terms of like my business is people get to know who I am. Like this is me like all the time. Y'all, if y'all don't believe me, ask Jennifer. This is me all the time.
Yes.
So if there's potential clients that want a freakazoid like me to come into their space, this is what you're going to get. And if you don't like this, I ain't your guy, right? Like, that's it. So that's a thing that was at first kind of like, ooh, I need to behave. I need to watch what I say because how professional am I going to look? It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it does matter. And what's most important to me is showing up as all of me as often as I can. And so this is the dojo where I get the reps in to like just get comfortable with being who I am all the time, all like full force. Like,
well, no, I
what
know.
you're
And
saying
so
about-
what I just heard from you is we are not going to be everything for everybody. Like,
Damn.
I'm not going to be everything for everybody. You're not going to be everything for everybody. And that's okay. And I think we're in a space right now, a lot on social media, a lot in the world that we live in, a lot in the people that we interact with here with NoBS, is that we're starting to realize that's okay. That I may not be the answer for everybody. And I may rub people the wrong way. I may not be the right facilitator. I may not be the person that can give them what they need. And that's not a fail on my part. And I think it's the same with you, is being able to be in this space and people being able to see who we are, the real us. They get to make a choice to come in and continue to be here, or to go, that's not for me, and walk away. And that's okay. And I think you and I, not that we weren't there at the beginning, but like we've been able to see the impact we are having and being able to connect people, but also in just what those people are doing. And like, it's amazing. And then every once in a while you get, little trolls and people that are like, well, this is not what you should be talking about. And that's okay. And I think getting to that point was a huge piece for you and I. Not we had to get there, but like understanding and helping people see that. And, Will's one of those people, Leslie, there are people out there, Cindy, that are sharing a lot of things on, hey, there's just people, we have tribes around us. And then we have people that just don't fit in those tribes. And that's okay too. Like, it's hard because we like get somewhere and someone attacks us, or someone says something to us that we don't take, it doesn't make us feel good. And then it's all of a sudden, are we less than, or are we not fitting into this box that we should be fitting in? No, we're fine. That's just not the box that person needs to be in. They just have another place that they need to be. And that's a hard thing to accept sometimes when you're in a world constantly getting fed things, and to not focus on the negative things, or focus on the things that maybe make you feel like you're not doing something. And there's not a person in this feed that is not out there doing amazing things. And we've just got to have more of those type of conversations.
Yes. I like the look on a person's face when they realize the box they've been trying to put me in just ain't big enough, baby. Watch out. Even Rachel knows it. Jesse ain't got no box. His box is busted.
He's like, do you even have a box?
Well, look at here. Miss Amy.
Oh, yes. I love it.
Buddy is one of the main reasons she keeps coming back. Is that not like amazing? Like people connecting in the interwebs.
Yes. It's not even you, Jesse. It's not even you.
I love it. That's more gooder that way. Look at that on it. Me too. Loves him some Buddy. Dang it. And allergies.
Yes.
Oh,
but why does Buddy keep coming back?
I don't know. Let's see. Does Buddy?
Yeah, I think Buddy shows up.
He comes back for the family reunion every other week. Dang it, and possible allergy attacks from people's vulnerability. Yeah, definitely. There's
yes. Yes. And
he gets to see Jennifer smile. Hey Adam, maybe we need to recruit Buddy to come in on the calls. So he can see like the fangs come out the way you do.
Buddy and I do some like back channel planning, so don't worry about Buddy. He's good. Buddy and I are good. We're on the same page.
So we got Mr. Justin says one of the coolest parts of this group is seeing everyone invest in themselves.
Ooh, that's a good topic, Jesse. Why don't we? Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to pose one to the group, and that'll help with some of these conversations. So I love this. Keep it up there, because a huge piece of a lot of our more recent conversations have been self-care and things that have to do with us and what are we doing or what are we not doing, and really bringing that up and surfacing those conversations. And so way early on, we had some conversations about like our kryptonite and the things that we struggle with. You and I were the first ones to kind of share what those are. And if you haven't seen the show, Jesse's kind of was abandonment. That was something that you were dealing with before and you've kind of dealt with. And so in that context, like this could have been a disaster. This could have been nobody showing up. You and I, like, kind of just sitting here with dead air and trying to figure out like what it was for. It didn't. But like when we started this, what are some like worries or fears or things that you had that obviously, didn't happen, but some things that you worried about, but you showed up anyway, and you continue to show up with maybe some things in the back of your head?
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, what I was worried about was that because you and I have very commanding presences, right? Like we're used to being at the center of the room. We're actually used to leading and guiding from the front of the room.
Right.
And so a real concern I had was, would we be able to have this dance that we have? And you, like early on, you and I talked a lot about that. Like, man, this is cool.
Yes.
But I was really concerned about that. I was also really concerned about pressure that you might get from your organization, pressure that I might get from my organization that would, what's the word? Tarnish the authenticity of the conversations we're having. Like that was a real concern. And I was also concerned about people coming in and like just spewing venom. Like I don't mind haters. Like for real, if you're going to hate, make like 10 comments about how much you hate it, because every comment you make gives us more impressions and more reach.
Yes.
I don't mind that. Like if you're going to hate on me. What I was concerned about was people spewing venom on each other in the chat. Like, you're going to bring it to me. Don't bring it to my people. That was like, I was worried about that. And when I saw people becoming more vulnerable, I mean, we had a little kind of thing that happened at one point in time. But when I saw people demonstrating the vulnerability in the comments, I really had a concern that they would experience repercussions on their end. For the most part, or at least not to I don't know that that's happened. But there was a situation where somebody made a comment and then somebody within their organization reached out and said, hey, are you not happy? Whatever. And I think that's important. Now, it could be interpreted as that situation could be interpreted as an amazing thing, right? The management or whatever said, oh my God, I have somebody that has a call for help. Let me help. It could also be interpreted as Big Brother watching you. So that's always been a little bit of a concern of mine. Now, in terms of like people showing up, the first one I was worried. After that, it's like, so what? You and I are having a good time. Let's just have a good time. That's it.
Well, I love that because, and there's comments over there that I'm sure you're going to grab and Adam's going to mark. But I think the biggest thing, and you said it's the tarnish and the things, like what could happen outside of this group. But I think what I noticed is when we started having these conversations, you and I showing up the way that we're showing up, and people sharing their vulnerability in this public space. It's like right now when we finish the live streams, like this is public for anybody that comes to our page. They're able to go and see, and the space we were creating, my fear and what I got scared about, it's very similar to yours, was just how will that be used against them, or how how could someone take that and then all of a sudden make that be a negative, when what we're trying to do is surface these conversations that no one wants to have, and for whatever reason that hasn't really happened, and people keep showing up and they keep sharing, and it just validates, Jesse, that one, the space isn't out there, and that people are suffering and people are holding things in and protecting and trying to make sure that, that they can just survive. They can get up and they can go to work and they can just struggle through the days and go home and then get ready to do it again tomorrow. And I think it helped us find our mission and find our purpose.
Yeah.
Is that's not what we want. We don't want people to just get up and be struggling and suffering through their day just to do it again tomorrow. And knowing that there's other people out there that are struggling and suffering the same way, but that they don't have to. So,
boom.
Yes.
Well said, Jane, for Lacey, creating a space for these types of conversations. She appreciates that, and Jess, that we do that.
Yes.
And again, like that kind of form, that structure revealed itself by us like just pulling the trigger and doing something. And so that's a beautiful thing. Miss Angel says more venom is more BS, and this is a place for no BS. So you set the tone with the name.
Yes.
Thank you, Angel. Man, we got a lot of good stuff here.
Lots of great.
Let's see. Here's a big one.
Okay. Who is that?
LinkedIn user. I'm wondering if that's Tanya. I'm not sure.
Okay.
If anyone thinks one knows it all, one might as well hang up that hard hat and call it quits. Ooh, word. There's so much more we can all learn from each other, and these conversations always provide great food for thought. Man, talking about food, I want some tacos. Also, love that they are authentic conversations, very applicable to work and life. Ooh, not hypothetical textbook lectures. Hey, I read that word like I know it. Which do not apply to the real world. And Saturdays equals less email traffic, Zoom meetings, client calls, airplane travel. So happens to fit my schedule. Dang, thank you.
That's solid.
Yeah. And it was a little scary, but at this point, I think we've built the skin to like just go ahead. The calluses, that's what it is. We built some calluses around our emotional bungee jumping feathers.
And you push a lot, like you push people off the cliffs a lot too.
I think it's a matter of perception, right? Like I understand it feels like push to you. Oh, here, I'm going to do this one. I've worked with a guy who was out in San Marcos. He's like, Jesse, we did a pull plan. It's more like a push-pull plan, but it's a pull plan. It's a pull plan. So that's how like.
Oh, so you're off and you're pulling, is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm pulling you into the future.
The unknown.
It feels like a push. So Justin says, I show up for the motivation and challenges. The awesome energy and amazing people in this group motivate me to be better. Man, for real, Justin. Same. Totally the same. Like there's some stuff that people up here that I've met, some things that I've learned, or some behaviors that I've been able to observe in the chat and in the after parties and then out there in the world afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop slacking. I got to pick it up because we got some people like for real people here. Appreciate you there, Mr. Justin.
Yes.
See what else we got. Oh, the chief marketeer says, what keeps me coming back? It's in my tagline. I'm a prospector for #better. The conversations are important. The #NoBS culture is unapologetically vulnerable and authentic, which helps fuel the NoBS tribe to go deeper.
Hey, that's why he's the chief marketeer.
Woo, baby, chief marketeer. Yeah, like always. I think that's it, man. That's awesome. Hold on, I got to memorize this for
Oh gosh,
shit, that's good. Like thank you, Steve. Watch out, baby. Oh.
Well, I think the vulnerability piece is a big one, and I want to hit on that because what I've seen, and I'm going to challenge the group right now before I start talking, and then I'll ask you the same question, is we've talked about a lot of topics. And at first we kind of had some things laid out, what we wanted to talk about for the first couple months. And then it's just evolved and snowballed into this, what it is now. And so those of you that have been on this ride with us, even from the beginning or even not, or you got pulled into one because someone invited you, like what episode or what conversation has made the most impact on you? And I'm going to throw it out to the tribe. Please share that in the tribe in there so we can pull those in. But I want to talk about mine, and then I'm going to ask you about yours, Jesse.
Oh,
so you don't even have to ask me. I'm just going to jump in.
Jen, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the one episode that had the deepest and most profound impact on you, please?
I will not be happy, but I will do it because it's good. It's one that got me, I think, the moment that got me the most vulnerable and realized just the magic of that conversation. So we were talking about the impact we have on people's lives, how we show up, our purpose. We were talking about a lot of things. And then we talked about the people that we surround ourselves with, like those 5 people. And then we talked about the most influential person in our lives, the person that has made the most impact on us. And at that moment, I mean, again, we've been talking about some things, but I pulled back a really big layer and just peeled the scab off and invited my brother on to the to our show. And that was oh, damn it. That one was impactful for so many reasons. Number one, because the most impactful person was my father. And at that day that we had the live stream, the day before was 20 years that he'd been gone. And so that was huge because of just the timing. And then bringing my brother on, again, you know, I'm a private person. I kind of protect the people that are around me because I want to make sure that, again, nothing, you know, it's my job to protect people. And started pulling back those layers of sharing my space and sharing the people that were important to me, and not just talking about him, but like bringing him on and sharing him with the world, my brother. And because the most impactful person in his life was my dad. And so we talked through single father, raising 4 kids, you know, it was a lot. And I think that episode, being able to share with my brother, but also like the tribe and how they showed up, and what Buddy says, those allergies that started kind of coming through, and not just from me or my brother, but also people that could relate. And so, Leslie, that's one of the episodes I'm going to share with you, because I know you shared some stuff about your dad this week, but there's nothing that one of us is dealing with that someone else doesn't connect with, and doesn't feel it, and doesn't feel it like in their core, in their heart. And I think that moment in that show made me realize, one, I'm human, and that the people that are showing up for us, with us, here together with us, are there to help lift us up, also there to help pull us along, also there to go, hey, I got you, here's my shoulder. You know, I mean, it's just, there was so much going on. And in that moment, I went, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I talk about. It doesn't matter how I'm here. I need to show up real and authentic. And it doesn't matter how much I may have some tears and stuff, but the people that show up here, they care and they are real. And it blew me away, and it changed a lot of the way, you know, just some of the conversations that I have, not just here, but outside of this at work and things like that. So what about you, Jesse? Which episode was the one that made the most impact on you?
The one that made the most impact on me, that like made me say, oh hell, like double oh hell, was the 7th one we did. So we did the Lean in Love, 5S in relation. Like, no, actually, it was just 5S in relationships, right? That was the title of the series. And then we did kind of a debrief. And then we did one where Spencer, Thomas, Buddy, Adam, and Brian Winningham came up on the screen and shared, like they opened up. There were tears. And the reason, so that was profound for me on so many levels. One, because like most of them, it was like Buddy, it was his first time. Thomas, I think it was his first time. Spencer, I know, had been on a live stream before. Adam, I know he had been on a live stream before. Brian, I'm not sure, but I know he'd done some podcasting. So for them to trust us, and then like the whole conversation was about how the nature or the quality of our relationships had impacted our lives in a negative way. Mm-hmm. So the topic alone was like terrifying, and they still like said, let's do it. And then like the just the straight up raw realness that everybody brought, like to me, that was one of those times where I was like, shit, man, like this is real. Like I'm getting excited right now. Like this is helping people. Mm-hmm. And like also people are suffering. And we can't stop. Like these men are spilling their soul to us online, which is beautiful and amazing, but it also speaks to the damn problem. Like, why can't we do that at work or at home? Like, it just kind of recalibrated. Rather, what it did was it made it super clear that I now had another avenue, another venue to serve to a greater degree. Like, that's what happened during that episode. Bam!
I 100% agree. And I think what that episode did for me is it cracked open the conversation about the whole human. And that you and I have talked about, like, we go to work and we kind of we wear one hat or we wear multiple hats at work. Then we, go through the gate and go home, and we have other hats there. And those conversations have been very separate, very divided. You talk about certain things from your personal life with certain people, and you talk about certain things at work with certain people. But it's been a very hard line, or a gate that you have to go through and decide, I'm going to take my hat off, I'm going to put my hat on. And so you and I talk about that all the time. And I think what that conversation, that one right there that you talked about with those individuals, did for me, and what I saw and how it blew up other stuff, is it got rid of those gates, and it made the whole human be on there. So not just, let's talk about what I do when I show up, but again, if you haven't watched it, go back, because Spencer just
oh my God, yes,
into the industry, and his family and his kids, and just some things that we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that kind of stuff because it's not work stuff. And what that did is it cracked open the stuff we're talking about, but it didn't just crack open you and I, because, sharing my dad and my family stuff, but also my girls, which are like I will protect them for everything, is sharing some conversations that, I have with them, or things that they've done. But it cracked it open, because if you go look, and it was awesome this week, because I was like really intentional, because I knew we were going to talk about some stuff today, is I was just looking at the feed of my feed, the things that pop up on my feed. And it was about dads with daughters. It was about daughters with dads. It was about sharing some conversation, sharing a celebration about, people that were important to them on life. It wasn't about this tool, this process, here's the 5 steps. Here's the things you need to do to be able to have profits and outcomes. Those were the things that were in my feed. And it doesn't mean the other stuff's not there, but those things are in my feed because that's how people are showing up right now. And that's what people are sharing. And that's what matters, that we can't stop. We can't turn things on and off. And again, there's been people, and I love that people share their thoughts, that have said, hey, this is not LinkedIn, this is Facebook stuff that you're talking about. That should be on Facebook. And the tribe just shows up and goes, hold up a minute. If you're on LinkedIn and you don't see all the stuff that people are sharing about their families and about their vacations and things like that, then you don't have the right people around you. So I just think for me, it cracked open that thing that now you and I can lean into, but the world is leaning into it.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to go to the comments. We got about 17 minutes to go.
Okay.
Thomas LeMay says he's worried about this being public. Or maybe that was worried. He uses this is like super ultimate cool. He uses screenshots and pages of Lean in Love as examples in his performance review sessions. Dude, that's so awesome.
Yes.
He says, hashtag spin positive. Absolutely. And then Justin gives him some love, says, dude, that's awesome. Like, totally awesome. And then Mr. Brumley says, there's a book with cheat codes. I mean, there kind of is, right? Like, I don't know that was the intent, but that's just kind of how it's worked out.
Yes.
Also, go ahead.
No. Go. I'll say
Mr. L.R. Whedon says, good morning, everyone. He popped in for a listen. What's going on, my friend? He's bringing, he started up in his.
Oh, he is. He's sharing.
Like, I don't know if he started, posting more frequently or they're just now hitting my feed more often. but he's bringing some good stuff out
Yes.
there. Totally. And he's on the Hoots on the Ground podcast, and it's an amazing conversation between him and Adam.
Yes.
So y'all need to check that one out. Okay, Jen, you were going to say something.
Well, I want to highlight, because we did pose a question, which conversation has impacted you the most? And you have some people, Adam, Steve Martin, that have shared theirs. And so I do want to make sure we answer their question.
Boom. The self-care episode. So he's still working towards watching it, I guess. Is that what you're getting?
And then Steve Martin. And then Steve Martin's SRRR cycle. Are you going to bring him up so he can talk about it?
I'll give you. I can see him on my end, James. He loves us so much right now.
Does he have something to say? Do we need? Does he want to share?
That we're both number one. That's what he's saying. Steve Martin says the hashtag SRRRR cycle unveiling, that was the most impactful for him, because he felt it tangibly before it came out, and he was experiencing it deeply in a very profound way. Man, thank you.
I'm going to tell people what that cycle is if they don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm asking you to.
Oh, I thought you asked if I wanted to.
No, Jesse, will you share? No, Jesse, share what the SRR cycle is with the people on the show that maybe do not know that.
Got it. So SRRR, there's 3 R's. And so what it was, Jennifer and I were like reflecting on, actually it's evolved since then. So I'm just gonna give the current thing. where was I? I think I was in Colorado, Phoenix or somewhere, and I'm like, Jen, I got an awakening,
which is normal.
Which is pretty normal. And so this is no, I know where I was. I was riding my bike back from the grocery store. That's what it was. And not that bike. I'm not like a Harley guy. Bicycle, right? Like a bicycle, like, the wheels. That's me. And so where I'm at right now with this SRRR cycle is, I think it's the formula for forming and building community, like a healthy, rich, connected community. So S first is, you got to show up. With what you got, with everything you have and everything you don't, show up. Mm-hmm. And you have to receive, right? So I've got to be present, connected. And when I say present, I don't mean like physically present to get perfect attendance. I mean present and available to connect with the human being in front of me, with the ideas that are being shared, with the sentiment that we're all swimming in. So that's the receive part. The second element is to reflect. Like, what am I receiving? How does this resonate with me? What's the tone of the conversation? What's the direction of the energy? And then reciprocate. So I will put back in what I have gotten, right? I'm going to get it. I'm going to chew on it. And I'm not just going to be a spectator. I am going to contribute. That's the reciprocation part. And that's that cycle: show up, receive, reflect, and reciprocate. And we've been through a couple things since then. And I was reflecting on a group event that we were all a part of, or a lot of us were a part of. And it didn't feel like community. It felt funky. It felt rigid. It felt jagged. And in my reflection, I said, oh, I think I know why. It's because they were not willing to receive. And because they weren't willing to receive, I couldn't feel a part of that community, because I couldn't do any reciprocation. And that's when I was like, ooh, it's a community thing. We show up, and that's what we do. That's what the tribe does. The tribe shows up. The tribe receives our energy, our ideas, everybody's comments, everybody's thoughts. There's like this stream of consciousness going on. They reflect, what does that mean to me? It's kind of OODA loop-y. And then they reciprocate. They share. They're showing love for each other, right? Like Amy comes because of Buddy. And I mean, when I go back and go through the comments, that's all I see is the show up, receive, reflect, reciprocate. And we grow tighter. Our community becomes more deeply bonded. And hell, look at now we're having NoBS meal
Yes.
breaks across. I'm going to say it across the country.
Yes.
So Tanya, thank you and Steve for y'all like planting those seeds. I think that's what I think. SRRRRRRR. That's how you say it. Is I think the root of or a basis for building community. What do you think about that?
Amazing. I mean, I can't even say anything more. You summed it up beautifully. But it's exactly what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. And then when we do see people in person, Jesse, I don't know about you, but I'm going to speak for me. When I show up to places and I see people that have been on our live streams or people we've connected with for the first time in person, it's like not the first time in person. It's like it feels in my brain like hugging and reconnecting, and like Buddy says, family reunion. And I'd never met him in person, never had that face-to-face engagement, but that's the community we're creating.
Totally.
And so I want to share, because I was going to share this earlier, and I know we got derailed, which that happens all the time, was the stuff that Thomas was talking about with the community. I mean, with the it being live and social and out there where everyone can access it. And then also you talking about your concerns and your fears when we started kind of getting, tarnishing, worrying about what we're doing here. Would that impact our stuff outside of here? And so it's in the back, that was in the back of my mind a little bit, but I think I had to make a decision. Like, I'm either going to do this 100% or I'm not. I couldn't do it like 1 foot here, 1 foot there. And I had to work through some of that, but I realized the value of what we were doing here, that it's real. And if it's real, then it should be able to transcend back into what I do for my day job. And so a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, an article our internal communications group wrote an article about our book, Yours and Mine, did some interviews and shared that with our entire company. And so in my mind, as much as we had the concerns, and we always have to be aware and cognizant of those things, I think it was a moment of all the things that you and I are doing and all the lives we're touching and the people that we're impacting, that inside work, outside of work, for them to recognize that and share that and celebrate that. And Eric Talley is on, he's within our company, but there's people that I see now that are popping on and having conversations with me at work about the things you and I are doing. So I know the ripples of impact that we are creating and where they're going, they just keep growing. So that was a celebration, I think.
Celebration. Yeah. Like they all celebrate Jennifer, because there were, you and I had the conversation like, hold on, pump the brake, be careful. And I'm sure you never said this to me, but I could see it in your face. Like, damn it, Jesse, I wish you would behave your damn self, because how this could reflect poorly on me. And so y'all out there in the omniverse, y'all need I don't think you understand how much courage it takes to be as connected to me as Jennifer is. Because I'm a little wild card. Check out the Insta and the TikTok. You'll see what we're talking about. So we got 7 minutes left. Miss Leslie bounced a little while ago. She says, I appreciate your authenticity from each of you. Thank you, Jennifer and Jesse. Thank you for the warm welcome into the tribe. She's signing off early because she needs to get an appointment in. I'm grateful and glad that you're taking care of your priorities, because like that's the whole point.
Yes.
Like, how do we stay healthy? We fulfill our commitments. We have our conversations. We make sacrifices. And then, like Adam says,
it's always, I feel like that's all the time. We live right on the edge.
Please, can you elaborate? Would you please elaborate on that?
Yes, because I feel like Jesse, you're amazing, and being in your space, it motivates and inspires, but it also makes people never settle. Like, because of your questions and because of just your reflection back to people and your conversations, I feel like personally, and Jesse and Adam can speak for himself, like I live right on the edge, whether it's a box, whether it's a cliff, right on the edge of, do I just back up and just be okay and comfortable and life is good? or do I just jump and not give a crap? Or am I right on the edge of like, sometimes it's like, oh, okay, fine. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, and so it literally live in that space, but it's not bad. It pushes and it makes you have to really think about, or not overthink, because I've learned to not overthink things, because if I overthink it, it completely loses the momentum and it loses what the power that it can have. And so it's like, just do it and then we'll figure it out. And it is not backfired yet. So I'm fingers crossed it continues to do what I'm hoping that it does, which is completely making me better.
Yes. Thank you, Jen and Adam, for bringing that up, hiding in the background. No, actually, that's kind of a slide compliment, because I gotta again shout out. We started a long time ago. We're starting a different way, and then along the way, Hoot said, "Man, like I want to be on. I want to help, because I could see, Jesse, you get kind of distracted over here,
Super
and,
distracted,
right?" And he was like, "Jess, I really want you to make Jennifer uncomfortable." And yeah, I'm putting, Adam, you got to see it. I'm putting together a slideshow with all of the faces that Jennifer makes, where she's really cussing me, but not saying it when I ask the question. I'm going to air that here in the near future. But Adam is in the background. He's helping us manage the chat and bring the comments forward and keep things going. So I'm super grateful to Adam for doing that. And like even today, like he put in the private chat, like, bro, you look a little distracted. And like that gives me so much comfort, because then I can be more engaged here. And like, yeah, I am uncomfortable. I want to make sure our people are able to connect and they're not dealing with jackety stuff, unless it's my fault. If it's my fault, I'm okay with it. But if somebody else's, we got a problem. So
well, that's Chelsea's easy way to not have to have uncomfortable conversations. And so when Adam's there, I can make Jesse be very right here with us. So yes.
I'm getting good at that, right?
You are getting really good.
So Steve Martin says, what started out as edge of construction, Jesse turned into edge of destruction. Yeah. Appreciate you, Steve. So I'm going to bring up one more comment, and then we're going to go into closing thoughts, Miss Jennifer Lacey.
Okay.
Buddy says he comes back for the possible surprise pop-in by Miss Alex, the cameo of Miss Alex. Oh, man, my friend. I'm got to connect with her here soon. I'm going through some Alex withdrawal right now.
Well, and those of you that follow in my social media stuff, again, she's my 11-year-old daughter. I have an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old. And Alex got pulled into some conversations, and she's like super scared and everything. But again, she loves hanging out with Jesse. And so bringing her in and letting her be a part of some of these conversations was a huge, I had to like take some armor off and like let some people in, because my kids are, I will fiercely protect them, and they have just, they love it. And they, it's cool, because I kind of got some cool points with it with my 14-year-old, which at that point, social media is everything. She tells me, she's Mom, she's like, we're famous. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? She's like, right now, if I go and do a search in Google for you, like there's pictures of us that pop up. She goes, so like we're famous. And so I get cool points for that, which is kind of cool, I guess. And so they're like learning to navigate this. But what I realized, and I was thinking about this week, is it's also like helping me have conversations with them about social media, and also getting them out there a little bit and not so scared and timid, and realizing we have to be able to control the narrative sometimes, and sometimes we don't. And so it's opened up some conversations that are really good for me to have with my daughter. So yes.
Beautiful. All right. So y'all, the links to the after party on LinkedIn are like on all the socials now. Adam's hooked it up on YouTube, got it on the Facebook, got it on the LinkedIn. Really want to hear y'all's voice. It says start time 9:15. It'll be 9:20 because I got to go and drink my tea to soothe my voice box here, to make sure I provide the meaningful and deep experience
But it's not Clubhouse. It's LinkedIn.
It's
So
LinkedIn. Yeah, it's LinkedIn. And so Steve Martin, Future Lyrics, Edge of Destruction.
yes.
And also said she's
Yes.
a really big deal. Jennifer Lacey.
Yes.
Good, Jen?
I'm good. I'm just going to encourage everybody. Please, we have 2 meetups next week. If you can be there in the Carolinas or in DFW, show up. If not, come look at our feed. And then 2, tag somebody in this that think maybe could get some value from it. And let's continue to grow.
Ditto.
Yes.
Peace.